Good morning, everyone. Sorry we're a couple minutes late, but we were literally complimenting each other today. My name is Hanna Olivas, and I am the co-founder of She Rises Studios. I'm here with the amazing, beautiful, intelligent Michelle Emmick from Ask Us Beauty Magazine. And this is our episode 2 out of a 6-series episode. I think I totally botched that whole thing up, but that's the great thing about not being perfect. Anyway, we have a 6-week series that we're doing with Michelle. And today we're going to talk about why is it so hard for us as women to take compliments, and how do we take compliments? So I'm going to start with a little fact checker, and then I'm going to send it over to Michelle. So there is actually a phobia called toxophobia. And it's the fear of receiving compliments or the fear of being praised. So it's a real thing in life, and it's in the dictionary. And I thought that was pretty cool when I'm
I
doing
I know
research
that is
about
cool.
things. So why do you think we have such a hard time as women taking a compliment?
Well, I would say that when I'm just thinking about it, it to me it resonates the fact that we don't want as women, we don't want to come off as, that we are bragging or boastful, or I don't know what the right wording is for it, but it's I think we always are like it's like ingrained to downplay our greatness, right? So we don't want to come off a certain way. And so, I wish I had a better way to explain it, but I just think that that's we grow up and it's like someone says something and we're so quick to respond with the other side of it instead of just saying thank you and receiving it. It's like we almost don't want to, you know, again, we're like we don't want to come off like, oh, we're I don't know. It's a strange thing. I don't know. I wish I did know why we are that way.
What you're saying is modesty. Sometimes we're so modest that we don't even know how to, like, oh wow, so we get like we're so modest we don't even know how to accept it or how to take it. And I also think too, a lot of times our first instinct is to be super guarded.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
we're questioning, do they really mean that? Do they really mean what they're saying? Like
Isn't
it's
it so
modesty
sad?
and like guarded girl.
Yeah, that's so sad that we feel that way because why, but then on the flip side of that, there are people that give, that say something. And I always say it's like not what you say, it's how you say it. So if someone's like, oh, those are cute earrings, you're like, why'd she say it like
Like mean girls, like in the show.
yeah, or is it like, wow, I really love your earrings. Those are so, so it's like not what you say, it's how you say it. And so I think we know there's definitely the people out there that do that. We've all experienced it. So, but yeah, I think that, you know, everyone's different. I notice I always laugh about this is when somebody gives a compliment and somebody backs it with a story. I do that too. Like someone's like, I love that shirt. Like, oh my God, I got it at TJ Maxx for, $15. Like, why can't we just say, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Instead, we have to give the entire story behind what the what the
Is that
compliment.
deflection? Are we deflecting from the attention from the actual comment?
I don't know. I don't know. Isn't that funny? We all do it.
We do. Definitely. What about when someone compliments us and it really, excuse me, contradicts how we feel about ourselves? What if
Ooh.
it's something within us and it contradicts how we feel about ourselves and how we see ourselves? How many women out there really just have, excuse me, low self-esteem? And it's okay to admit it because we all go through it.
Hmm.
But when a person sees you with their eyes, their perspective of you, and they're giving you this amazing compliment, but you don't even see yourself in that way, it becomes an uncomfortable, "Oh, really? Thank you." Like, you're you're guarded, you're questioning it, and you're like, "Thanks." You don't
Yeah,
really know how to
absolutely.
take it because that's not how you feel about yourself.
Right. And it just goes to the point of how important it is for self-talk and two, practice the acceptance of a compliment so that you can start to believe it, because we know, and we talked about this in the magazine, is when you give out a compliment, it's called attention training. It's actually a term that they use, and it's you're so focused on the positive that you spend less time focusing on the negative, right? So it's like, you're building that, repetition. And so as much as it's painful, it's just something we have to practice. Like someone says, "You look beautiful today." Thank you. And then,
Yeah.
"You do look beautiful today." So we have to just practice that all the time. It's work. It takes time to accept it.
There's kind of this joke like between me and my husband we do. Like he'll tell me, "Oh my gosh, babe, you're so beautiful. You're so sexy." And I'm just like, "Really? Like have you looked at me lately?" And he's like, "Oh my God, you frustrate me. Why don't you just accept what I'm telling you and believe me?" He always says, "Why can't you believe me?" And so I'm like, so now I say, "You're right. You're lucky. I am the bomb." Like,
That's
it's this
right.
joke that we do, you know?
That's right.
And to get a little more intimate than I typically do about married life, like, sometimes, like, say we're getting ready, and I tell him, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're so sexy." And he's like, "You're such a pervert." Because because he feels like I'm just giving him, like, this cocky stare down, which I am. But, like, now it's this thing that we've gotten to be comfortable with ourselves, and I feel like that also spices things up in the marriage, but all in all, at first, for years, when he would say, "You're beautiful, you're amazing, you're talented, I love your mind," and I'm like, "How do you love my mind?" Like, to me, my mind is just like this perfect storm up here, and I would have a hard time taking it. And now people say, "Oh my gosh, Hannah, you're so strong." And in my head, I'm just like, I'm just trying to get through each day the best way that I can.
Right.
So I still come off as that guarded person, and sometimes what you're saying to me, I'm not even aligning with.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get in the habit of having more positive self-talk with ourselves and actually accepting that comment that's being given to us, that compliment, I should say.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's important.
100%. And that's why one of the things we did, in our current issue, we did, the 30-day compliment challenge, because a compliment, and we say giving, receiving, it's a twofer, right? You give a compliment out, that person feels good, and then you feel good for making somebody feel good. So we said, all right, let's do this 30-day challenge. And I think that kind of leans back to the whole, self-talk and practice, because when you say that to someone, most of the time when you give a compliment, if you notice and pay attention to that, people will compliment you back. So it's
Yep.
like, there's a whole lot of love going on, and that's the type of energy we want to put out in the world, and so I think that we have to recognize it, and we have to make a conscious effort to do that, because we get so caught up in the day to day. So take the time. We're so hyper focused on ourselves and what's going on. Take the time to really recognize something, whatever it is, in someone, and say it, because I guarantee you'll feel good, and then in turn will help you start to accept compliments as well.
I so agree with that. When you are filling someone else with love and noticing their amazingness, and you're complimenting them, you're literally building them up. And yesterday, I experienced it with my son. We were out doing stuff, and we stopped to grab a bite to eat. And so we walk in, and I'm a casual girl. I like to wear Chucks or Pumas, whatever. I'm just momming it. We go to this place to eat, and the guy goes, "Would you and your wife like a table or a booth?" And I'm just like, "Whoa." My son's 23 yesterday,
Oh,
today's
that's so
4,
funny.
and he looks at me, my son's like, "So either I look really old or you look really young." And I said, "I'm gonna go with the second. I look really young," because my son looks like a baby. He has a baby face. And the guy's just going on and on. And we're laughing because we didn't tell him till he actually sat us that that was my son. And when I said it, he was like, "Oh my God." He was like, "You look so young. You're so beautiful." And I was like, "Thank you." Like it just made my day.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love it.
Those are the best. I remember going one time to the grocery store and like the kid, the bagger was like, he called me miss. And I was like, all right, are you trained to do that? Cause I was like,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It does, it makes us feel good. It brings a smile to our face. And it's nice to hear that. And so, I mean, think about it. It brightens your whole day because you're like, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
I'm like, "Thank you. Thank you." So is there an etiquette for receiving a compliment? When I was researching this, and I love, by the way, the 30-day challenge. So don't forget to tell our listeners and viewers how to find that so that they can do that for 30 days. But is there an actual etiquette for taking a compliment besides saying thank you?
Well, when I was doing my research on it, that was really the main focus. They were like, it's pretty simple. Is just acknowledge the compliment, pause, take it in, and just receive it. And that's what it is. In the challenge we talked about taking a step further too. Is not only when you give a compliment, write it down. When you receive a compliment, write it down because it's so
Mhm.
powerful, right? When you write those words. So, but I think that's the thing is you can dissect it any way you want. At the end of the day, a simple thank you and a smile goes a long way.
I love it. What about being mindful? Like when somebody's complimenting you, they're looking right at you. So they're watching your body language, they're watching what you're not saying.
That's a great
So,
point.
so
Absolutely.
I feel like, if we're mindful of how we're reacting to the compliment, and it goes back to what I said, like if you're not in alignment and you don't believe it in yourself, it's going to show in your body language.
100%.
So
100%.
definitely, like, when somebody's complimenting you and say you just don't know what to say even thank you doesn't come out, smile.
Yeah. Yes. Do a nod,
Yes.
smile, eye contact. Eye contact is like
Yes.
that's like the number one, right? So I can tell everyone, I tell my daughter that all the time. She's 10. I'm like, whenever something like, look them in the eye, look them in the eye. But
Yes.
it is powerful because again, think about how many times we've all done it, our spouse, whatever, they say something and it just goes right past you. And sometimes you have to stop and be like, did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? Because we want someone to receive it. Because again, that's the only way we're going to believe it. We have to receive it.
Don't deny it, don't downplay the compliment, take it. That might be the one thing you needed to hear that day to really put some pep in your step, you know,
Yes.
um
And don't you think too, I guess I feel like this, and we're always kind of trying to help educate the younger generation, right? Because I feel like everything's wasted on us as we get older. But it's like I accept things, I think we all do accept it more now that we're older. It's like, thank you very much. Yes, I am. But when you
Yeah,
were younger, like in your 20s, you're like, oh my God, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid.
it's
Everything is like, and I always
yes.
stop my nieces and nephews. I'm like, don't sit, accept it, believe it. You are those things. But yeah, as we get older, we're much more like, I know I look good.
I find myself having a Mean Girls burn book session when they're all together in the movie and they're standing in the mirror and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I hate my thighs. Oh my gosh, my shoulders are too big. Oh my gosh, this." I mean, we've all been there,
Yeah.
but yes, younger women have way too much pressure. They put way too much pressure on themselves and they put way too much pressure on other women.
Yeah, well,
So,
and they've grown up in a different generation. They've
yes.
grown up in the social media world. We had it on the tail end of our life, and I talk about this all the time. This is such a important topic. I think because of being a mom and being an aunt, and seeing these kids grow up with this is a constant. I mean, that could be a whole nother topic because I could talk about that for days. But yes, getting the kids in the habit of you know recognizing that they are beautiful and we are all special, we are all unique, You know, we come in all shapes and sizes. We say at the magazine that we're a colorful box. We're like the crayon box, colorful box of crayons, because we come all different. You know, life would be boring if we're all the same. So
Exactly.
I
I love
think one of the things I want to say too, the compliment is find something, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying like, oh, you look beautiful today or things like that. But really when you notice something, that's what I think really sticks. Like we asked in the when we did the article in the magazine, it was like, you know, we all can think of that compliment that we received somewhere in our life that just stuck with us, right? That we're like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget when that person said that to me. And it could be something totally, you know, but you don't realize how powerful that is. So it's taking the time to really look for something that's heartfelt and meaningful, that maybe is beyond just your aesthetic, like you look great or
that.
you're that, but really something like, wow, your heart shines through, or you know, I'm a big person on energy. I love people's energy, so I like to recognize people that because I can feel that, you know, and that's something that's just kind of taking the compliment a step further.
Yeah, so not focusing just on our outside, but what about what our heart is, how our mind is. You know, it all matters. And we
We'll take
all
them all. Listen, we'll take them all. We'll take all the
yeah,
compliments.
yeah, we will.
Don't
So
judge me on them. We're
so
just
be
saying,
sure to leave your compliments today in the comment section
that's
of this
right.
live.
That's
Um,
right.
tell us how people can find your magazine and
Okay.
do the 30-day challenge.
Yes, the 30-day challenge is in our current issue with our cover feature, Jenny McCarthy. And you can go to askusbeautymagazine.com to read that. And then the compliment challenge is inside the magazine. So it's a 30-day, it's pretty simple. It's, you know, giving out a genuine compliment at least once a day, at least to one person, and then write it down. And then also, like I said, write down any compliments that you receive, because again, we want to train the mind to think about all the positive things. And so, yeah, it's pretty simple, nothing too difficult, but when you see something, say something, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
And if it's rude, don't. No.
And if it's rude, don't. Yeah, keep it to yourself. Nobody wants
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We are a little over our time, but that's okay. So check out the magazine, do the 30-day challenge. I say take that, go get the magazine, first of all. Take the challenge. Make it your Mother's Day month challenge. Like, what a better way to celebrate yourself and other women by giving them a ton of compliments and receiving a ton of compliments. And I would also say, I love what you're saying about writing it down. So get a compliment journal. We have food journals, we have mood journals.
write them
So
down. You
what's
look
one
back
more?
at it and be
Yeah,
like, this, you know, it is. I'm telling you, there's power. Words are so powerful, so powerful.
definitely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yes, it is. 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with my beautiful co-host, Michelle Emmick from Ask Us Beauty. Thank you for joining us. Have an amazing, beautiful, powerful Wednesday, and you are all beautiful.
Thank you.